Hello and welcome to our Rope Expert video tutorials. My name is Andrew and I work for Nautical Rope and we do rope splicing every day. If you'd like more information or just to get in touch, please visit our website nauticalrope.co.uk, where you'll find loads of rope, more rope than you could ever want, and lots more tutorials and free advice. In this tutorial I'm going to teach you how to do a professional, strong, neat braid on braid eye splice with a shackle. To complete this splice you'll need the following equipment: braid on braid rope, a sharp knife, a splicing fid that matches the rope diameter, a second splicing fid the next size down, owl pick, pencil, some tape and a shackle if required. You can obviously do this loop splice without the shackle if you just want a loop. Take the rope and move approximately 1.5 meters from the end and tie a figure of 8 knot loop and pull it tight. What this does is prevent the cover creeping down the rope and gives you something to pull against when we finish the splice. Then move back to the end of the rope and cut off the heat sealed end. Sharper the knife the better here, it makes it a lot easier. Now take the fid which matches the rope diameter, line up the end of the rope and mark one fid length from the end. Form the loop you require in the end of the rope. Mark M2 at the neck of this loop, lining it up with mark M1. This loop will then form the final size of your eye for the completed splice. Okay, now you've got mark M1 and mark M2. Mark M2, so the one further down the rope, compress the outer sheath, the cover of the rope together to loosen the fibres, and then using the pick pull a pair of the braid lay out slightly. Just so it forms a little loop. Follow this by pulling out a second adjacent pair. This just gives you enough slack to basically spread a hole in the cover of the core. Once you've created this hole, you basically bend the rope and dig out the core and carefully pull it out through the hole you've created, being careful to extract the whole core and not just pull part of its braid out. Once you get to a point where you've got the whole core out of the rope cover, you should then be able to just pull the core through from the end of the rope. Pulling it completely out. Now you need to make a mark M3 where the core exits the cover. And then extract the core, pulling the cover back towards the knot. Measure a short fid section and mark the core M4. Extract a further fid length plus another short section. Just a little bit longer than one fid length, and mark the core with final mark M5. Tape the ends of the core and the cover. This is just to stop the ends splaying and fraying out, so it's easy to get them into the fids. Now to taper the splice, this is a tricky bit. From the mark M1, you sort of move halfway between M1 and the end of the rope. From this point on, we're going to taper the braids in the cover. To do this, you basically take pairs of braids in one direction. So there's a lay one diagonal and a lay the other diagonal. So you pull up one pair, just enough to get a knife in, and then cut the pair and extract the pair of fibres from the end of the rope. Now from where there's that cut end, you basically take the pairs that are going in the same direction as the one you've just cut. You skip one, so you miss a pair, and then lift the next pair up, making sure you pull pairs that are running in the same direction as the one you've started with. Then cut this and extract it. Then you miss a pair and lift the next pair. This is basically tapering the cover in a method that maintains the rope structure. You repeat this for 6 pairs in total cut. I'm going to fast forward now, just so the video is not too long. With all 6 pairs cut,
You then go back to the first pair you cut and lift the pairs that are running in the other direction. So the opposite weave in the braid. You now lift one of those pairs, cut the pair and extract the fibres. Going to fast forward again. Repeat this for all 6 in the other direction, and you've got a nice gentle taper in the cover of the rope, but you maintain its structure. Then thread the cover through the shackle. Don't forget this bit, where you end up doing the splice and realizing you haven't got the shackle through the loop. Now you take the 3 marks that we've made on the core, got M3, M4 and M5. We insert the fid at M4 by spreading the braid, passing the fid up through the centre. Feed the fid all the way up to M5 and then exit from the core and pull the fid through. Skewer the end of the cover there just to stop it retracting back, and pull the core back so we can now thread the core through the shackle We're now going to identify mark M1 on the cover. Feed the core into the smaller fid, and then we're going to insert the core into the cover, not at the mark M1 but about 2 centimeters down from M1 towards the end of the cover. Basically the core has to go in before mark M1 so that it's hidden inside the splice when we finally pull it together. Take the fid past mark M2 where the core exits, just about 2 centimeters past, and push the fid through. Now pull all the core through, pull it up so it meets the switch over point, and pull the cover back through as well so the two meet where they thread into each other. And smooth out the cover. Remove the tape from the end of the core, the end of the cover. And I just cut a sort of diagonal taper in the end of the fibres here, just to put a nice final taper on it so you don't get any step in the finished splice. Then pull this into the core and grip the cover part tightly and smooth out the core by pulling it away from the cover. Then move the shackle round to the cover part. We're now ready to form the splice by tightening everything up. Now at this point we take the loop we tied with a knot and fix it to something solid. If you're on a boat, obviously around a winch or something, because we're going to have to pull against this. And basically we're pulling the cover back away from the loop, away from the knot, towards the shackle. And as we do this, the core will be swallowed up into the cover. Pulling on the shackle away from the knot helps straighten out the rope and tighten up the core at the overlap, which will help feed it in. But basically you just have to keep working the cover away from the knot we tied towards the end of the rope, and each time you do it will slide a bit further. When we've finished, the mark M1 and M2 will be adjacent, forming that loop the size we set at the start of the splice. Just pull the shackle tight against the rope. This is just to smooth out tension in the loop. And we can then cut off the protruding spare core. Just pull tension on the shackle again, and this will just tease the final bit of core back into the cover. And then you can smooth the cover out with your thumb. To tidy up. And there we have it, one finished, neat, strong eye splice with a nice taper that doesn't leave a step in the rope.